Hello, I'm Devin Taylor from Sonic Solutions Ultrasonic Algae Control. Welcome to our training video of the Sonic Solutions solar power system, which works with our 24-volt DC models. To guide us through the setup process, we have an expert in solar power technology, Tony Trigiani, President of Diversified Power International, joining us live from an installation site in Tennessee. Hi Tony, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Devin. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thanks, Tony. It looks like you have great weather down there and are about to start, so take it away.
Devin, today I'll be showing you through a step-by-step procedure on how to install DPI's solar power system for use in conjunction with Sonic Solutions 24-volt DC algae control system. I cannot overstress how important it is for your safety that you carefully and fully follow these directions in the order in which they are described. Also, you need to have the owner's manual with you when you assemble your system. Assembling your solar power system is a two-person job. To help me with the installation training, I'd like to introduce to you Thomas and Reese, who will be doing the assembly for us. Of course, we contacted DigSafe prior to starting our project. I remind you to contact DigSafe prior to you starting your project. Let's get started. The first step in our process is to install a concrete mounting base where you are going to set up your solar power system. Because the concrete base is the foundation for the entire system, it is essential that you install the base correctly. An improperly installed base can jeopardize the installation, reduce the performance of your system, and result in a structural failure that could damage or destroy your system, or worse, cause injury or bodily harm. To install the base, you will first need to locate the mounting template, 4 J-bolts, nuts and washers, compass, and the angle of declination card included in your solar power system installation prep kit. You will also need a 3-foot tall by 12-inch diameter concrete tube form, 3 80-pound bags of concrete, a 3/8 diameter by 6-foot long grounding rod, and a 3/8 brass ground clamp for the rod. These items are readily available at any building supply store. For tools, you'll need a felt tip marker, a sledgehammer, a trowel, a can of spray paint, a torque bar, a shovel, and a 2-foot level, and a mixing container such as a wheelbarrow. Let's start on the template assembly. First, thread a nut on each of the J-bolts, approximately 2 inches down the thread. Then, bolt them to the mounting template like this, with a J at right angles to the arms of the template. Now, take your concrete form and place the template assembly on top. And with the marker, draw a line to mark the depth of the J-bolts inside the form. Next, take the grounding rod and fasten the grounding rod clamp to the top of it. Dig a hole for the base that is wide enough to accommodate both the form and the grounding rod. We've chosen to dig our hole 39 inches deep, so our base can ultimately be set 3 inches below grade, allowing landscaping materials such as grass, ground cover, or mulch to go around the pole and cover the top of the base. All of this is described in your owner's manual. Now, with the form placed in the hole, position and drive your grounding rod into the side of the hole next to the form using a sledgehammer or rod driver. If you have trouble driving the grounding rod into the ground, lift out the rod and pour some water into the grounding rod hole to loosen the soil. The top of the rod will need to be approximately 1 inch below grade level and an inch or two above the top of the concrete form. Now we level our form. You want to get this as level as possible. Prepare the concrete per the manufacturer's instructions and then pour the concrete into the form up to the level we marked. Use a trowel to work the concrete, eliminating any air pockets. Now we will place the compass next to the form to establish where magnetic south is located. Place the template assembly centered on the form. Now reference the declination card that came with your prep kit and subtract or add the number of degrees to the magnetic south heading on the compass and adjust the direction of the template to the true south heading for your site. At our location, true south adjustment resulted in 0 degrees. But if your card indicates a different true south adjustment, for example -10 degrees, you would adjust the template -10 degrees. If you're installing your system more than 20 miles from the zip code on the declination card, please call us at 1-800-334-5091 for assistance, or use the reference information on the back of the card to determine the correct numbers for your installation site. Okay, with the marker, mark the position of the template arms on the top of your form. Remember that the orientation of the template is a crucial step to make sure that your solar panel is in the optimum position for creating electricity. To make sure that we remember which J-bolt is pointing to true south, let's mark it with some spray paint. Now with the template held in place, we'll fill the rest of the form with concrete. Keep checking the marks on the top of the form to make sure that the template hasn't shifted out of position. Use the trowel to smooth out the concrete on the top of the base, so it will be a smooth, flat surface for the mounting pole base. Now we'll let the concrete cure for 24 hours. We completed another base yesterday, which as you can see, was set slightly above grade. We've shown you two methods of installing a base into the ground, one that is approximately 3 inches below grade and one that is approximately 3 inches above grade. It's up to you as to which of these two methods you'd like to use in your landscaping design plan. Now we're ready to install our solar panel system onto one of these two bases. Before we start unpacking our system, it's important to know a few facts about solar panels. Let's start with safety. This is extremely important to keep in mind. Your solar panel may be holding or developing a charge when you unpack it. Do not remove any connectors or plugs from the wires or splice any of the wires from your solar panel. This is both dangerous and will void your warranty. If you were to touch one bare conductor with one hand and touch the other bare conductor with the other hand, you will have put your body in a direct path with a force of more than 10 milliamps of current through your heart. This action can be lethal. Likewise, it's important to treat the batteries with the same respect. Remember, given the right conditions such as humidity or sweat, even a 12-volt car battery, if grabbed by its posts using your bare hands, can be dangerous or lethal. To unpack, as well as assemble your solar power system, you will need a screwdriver or a cordless screw gun, which will make things easier. A set of socket wrenches, a 3/4 inch wrench, a 7/8 inch wrench, a slotted screwdriver, electrical tape, a felt tip marker, a 12-inch piece of string, and a torque wrench. Let's start with opening the shipping crate and taking inventory of the parts. First, unscrew the top of the crate which contains the solar panel. Carefully lift out the panel container and place it on a flat surface. Now open the top of the panel container and examine the panel for any damage. If your panel has any damage, such as cracks or chips, call us immediately to arrange for a replacement panel. We will also need to have you document the damage for filing an insurance claim with the shipper. Next, remove the pole and control box assembly. This is done by unscrewing the packing blocks that secured the parts during shipping. Then, locate the solar panel brackets, the bracket hardware, the pole mounting hardware bag, and the batteries. The first step in assembly is to mount the pole and control box assembly onto the concrete foundation base so that the arms of the T point east-west and the face of the electronics box faces north. Place the base of the pole over the J-bolts protruding from the base and fasten it with washers, lock washers, and nuts in that order. Now check with the level that the pole is perfectly upright. If it is not, unbolt it from the base and use flat washers as shims to correct it so that the pole is straight up and plumb. This may take a couple of attempts to get right, but it is an important step to follow. Okay, now our pole is exactly plumb, so we can tighten the nuts onto the foundation base. We'll use the torque bar later to tighten those bolts to spec, but for now, leave the bolts tightened just firmly enough to allow assembly to proceed safely. Also, notice the bolt holes on the mounting base are slotted. This is to allow us to fine-tune the solar panel orientation to true south if needed after the panel is installed on the brackets. Now, attach the bare copper grounding wire to the mounting plate with a 1/4 inch by 20 hex bolt and the ground wire clamp and lock washer into the threaded hole in the base plate. Then, attach the other end of the grounding wire to the grounding rod clamp on the grounding rod using a 7/8 wrench. Next, let's now assemble the solar panel mounting brackets. To do this, we need the strut channels, the U-bolts, 1/4 inch flat washers, 1/4 inch rubber washers, and the 1/4 inch by 20 nylon lock nuts. Assemble the mounting brackets horizontally onto the pole crossbar. The mounts should be installed approximately 1 inch from each end of the T-bar. make sure that you place the channel that has the angle indication scale on the left side of the T-bar facing it to the electronics box, like so. Now check to make sure that both mounts are exactly horizontal so the panel will remain flat. Tighten the nuts into place firmly. Now slide the 4 hex bolts into the channels on the back of the solar panel. Then place in this order: 1 flat washer, 1 rubber washer, and then another flat washer on each bolt. Then use a piece of electrical tape on the bolt like so. This will hold the assembly of washers into place when you turn the panel over. Next, carefully lift the panel, turn it face up, and place it with the bolts through the holes on the strut channels with the panel wire situated to the correct side of the electronics box. Now reach into the channel and remove the electrical tape. Place the 1/4 inch flat washer and the 1/4 inch by 20 nylon lock nuts onto the bolts and tighten until snug. Do not over tighten, as you could crack the panel. Now we'll need to adjust the angle of the panel, and to do that we need to determine the proper angle for your location. We'll find that on the declination and angle information card that came with your prep kit. The angle of the panel is determined by where your solar panel system is located. Take a small length of string and make a small loop on one end, and tie a weight, such as a nut, on the other end. Now place the loop over the bolt on the channel bracket next to the angle indicator label, like this. Before we loosen the bolts to tilt the panel, I want to remind you that the bottom of the panel is fragile, and that you must not allow it to drop down and hit the vertical pole. Therefore, to prevent this, have one person hold the front of the panel with 2 hands, while the other person loosens only slightly 1 nut on each of the U-bolts on the mounting brackets. Now gently tilt the panel to the proper angle for your location. Our location requires 35 degrees. Once you have the panel at the proper angle, and while the other person is still holding the front of the panel with 2 hands, retighten the nut on each of the U-bolts. Now let's recheck the orientation of the panel to make sure that it is still facing true south. Use the compass again to find magnetic south and adjust for the true south adjustment for your location. If you need to make an adjustment, just slightly loosen the mounting nuts at the base of the pole mounting plate and turn the base to the proper heading by pushing or pulling on the crossbar. Do not turn the base by pushing or pulling directly on the solar panel. Once you're satisfied that your panel is properly aligned, use the torque bar to tighten the nuts on the base to approximately 60 to 70 foot-pounds of torque. We're going to install the lightning rod to the pole to protect the panel and the electronics from potential lightning damage. Solar panel systems are great attractions for lightning. If your system is not properly grounded, a lightning strike may cause permanent damage that is not covered by warranty. The lightning rod will conduct the lightning through the frame on down to this copper strap that then passes it over to the buried ground rod and on into the ground. We'll fasten the lightning rod to the crossbar with 2 1/4 inch by 20 by 3/4 inch hex bolts and 2 1/4 inch external tooth lock washers. Now we'll install the batteries. Remember to insulate yourself from touching the battery terminals. Unpack and place both of the batteries into the bottom of the electronics box. Connect each of the batteries to the control board system by snapping together the red and black connecting clips. Avoid contacting the battery posts with your bare hands. Finally, we will connect the solar panel to the electronics box. Under your solar panel, locate panel wires that have a connector on the end and push the plug into the connector marked Solar Panel 1 and make sure that it snaps into place. And repeat for the second panel if you have a 2-panel system such as this one. Neatly coil and tie off excess panel wire. After you've plugged in the solar panel, look at the indicator lights at the bottom of the control board in the electronics box. You should see that either the high power or low power light should be illuminated. Before closing the electronics box cover, let's check that the solar panel is operating correctly. The control board has 5 LEDs. The first 2 indicate if the panel is generating ample high power or low power. Hopefully your installation day is as sunny as ours is today, as you will see that our control board is indicating high power. To test this, take a piece of cardboard or cloth and place it over the panel. The low power indicator should come on and illuminate. This condition normally occurs at sundown and of course on cloudy days. When the cover is removed, the high power indicator should come back on. Also notice that this yellow indicator marked charging is on, which tells you that the controller is charging the batteries. When charging is complete, this indicator turns off and the green charged indicator illuminates. Now locate the 4 cover screws that are in a bag taped to the inside of the electronics box. Shut the cover of the control box and install the cover screws into the holes into the 4 corners of the box. Or alternately, use the plugs but without the screws. Either way, this will make your door waterproof. Then fasten the strap clasps on the side of the cover, and if you want, you can use padlocks to secure the box. Congratulations, your solar power system is now operational. As you can see, we've already installed our Sonic Solutions algae control unit into our pond. To learn how to assemble and install your Sonic Solutions system, please watch the Sonic Solutions installation videos online at www.sonicsolutionsllc.com. We're going to mount the Sonic Solutions 24-volt DC solar power supply to the mounting brackets located here, under the electronics box, using the bolts like so. Remember, do not plug in your power supply to the solar power system control box until the Sonic Solutions transducer has been installed in the water. Now connect the transducer's wire to the Sonic Solutions power supply connector. To do this, line them up properly and push together. Then twist the flanges together until they are tight and form a waterproof seal. After that, then you can plug your Sonic Solutions power supply into the receptacle marked Sonic Solutions Unit 1. Note that although the electronics box is pre-wired for a second Sonic Solutions unit, your solar power system may not be sized for operating 2 units. Check with your Sonic Solutions dealer or representative before running 2 units on your system. Let's check our Sonic Solutions power supply to make sure it's working. The light that is on continuously indicates that there is power to the unit, while the other light blinks to indicate that the transducer is receiving power to create the ultrasonics waves. Our Sonic Solution algae control system is working. I'd like to thank Reese and Thomas for helping us with the installation of our solar panel system. On behalf of everybody at Diversified Power, I'd also like to thank you for taking the time to review our video showing the installation of our solar panel system in conjunction with Sonic Solutions Algae Control.